Lad and the kids are over at my brother-in-law Tim's ranch working cattle, so I have grabbed this moment of calm to whip up some breakfast foods for my freezer. I'm starting with a batch of breakfast panini. Really delicious, and it's really fun to make them in big batches. I'm starting by buttering the bread generously, and that is the secret to these breakfast panini. Now, I've already got a batch in the panini maker. I actually built a sandwich with nothing inside, and that's what I'm gonna do for these freezer panini. Because the panini are gonna go into the freezer and be reheated, I didn't wanna put the fillings in and press them now. So I'm gonna let the toasted bread cool, then I'll fill them up with the breakfast ingredients, and then I'll pack them for the freezer. That way, when I heat them up, the cheese will be freshly melted and just perfect. So I'm putting 4 slices in the panini maker, butter side down, of course, and then I'll put the second piece of bread, butter side up, on top of each one. So I'll close the lid. Now that's just gonna take a few minutes to get done. Now the toast will have plenty of time to cool, and that'll give me time to whip up the filling for the panini. This is gonna be a ham, cheese, and green chili batch of panini. I have a skillet of butter, and I wanna heat up the ham first for no other reason than to just get some good color on the outside. So I'm gonna let this sit, and I'm gonna whip up the egg mixture for the panini. I've got a whole bunch of eggs in a pitcher, and I'm adding a generous amount of half and half. I'll sprinkle in salt and pepper, and I'll give this a really good whisk. It'll be my morning workout routine. Usually my morning workout does involve food in some way. Okay, the egg mixture is nice and smooth. So I will check on the ham. I can already tell it's getting really brown. And I'm gonna turn the heat back down. So now it comes out of the skillet. Oh, I love sizzly cooked ham. See those little brown bits around the edge? There are some beautiful juices from the ham in the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit more butter. And now that the heat is a little bit lower, I'm gonna pour in the egg mixture. This is a lot of eggs, but I am building 12 panini, so I'm definitely gonna use it all. Now I'll just let them cook. The eggs are beautifully scrambled, so I'm gonna turn the heat off. I'm gonna take them out, and I want them to cool just like I wanted the ham to cool. Cheese doesn't melt well twice, so I don't want it to melt now because later, when I warm up the breakfast panini, it will have already melted and it just won't be as creamy and delicious. So every panini has to have a delicious spread. This one has a base of mayonnaise, probably about half a cup. And I'll sprinkle in a little salt. You know me, hot sauce. I always find an excuse to add it to whatever I'm making. And then it's so nice for this mayo to have a nice zip of lime. So I'll squeeze in the juice. Now I'll stir this together. It looks good. All right, good to go. Now I'm gonna start building these. I'll grab 2 slices of bread, open them up, spread sauce on both pieces, a piece of Monterey Jack on both pieces. Then comes the ham, a good amount of scrambled eggs, a roasted green chili, and the top goes on. Now I'll fold up the foil and just wrap them tightly. And that's one panini done. Let me build the rest of them, and while I do, I'm gonna tell you how to heat them up straight out of the freezer. I'll put the panini on the sheet pan in their foil and bake them at 350 degrees for 20 minutes. Take them out, unwrap them, cut them, and serve them up. I packed up 8 for the freezer. I'm gonna leave 4 out to warm them up for Lad and the kids later. My day is off to a great start. Pesto egg pockets, a delicious puff pastry baked square. They're great for breakfast, and you can just grab them and go to work, school, a movie, wherever you want to go, you can take these with you. So I'm starting by scrambling some eggs. I just whisked 6 eggs with salt and pepper, and I put them into a skillet with some melted butter. And I'm going to just go ahead and add some spinach and start to give it a stir. And this is a good time to whip out the pesto. I was trying to be all fancy and I put the jarred pesto into a bowl. I should have just kept it in the jar so you really could have seen the store-bought nature of the pesto, but I'm adding quite a bit, as you can see. Okay, so basically I'm just stirring the eggs and I'm gonna cook them until the eggs are set, and it's really not gonna take long because this skillet was nice and hot. Look at this egg mixture. Delicious.
Very green.
Very green, very wonderful. So the eggs are pretty much cooked, so this is a good time to add the cheese, and I am using Fontina. I grated it myself just to make sure it's extra creamy, but you could do pepper jack cheese. You could do like a kind of a Tex-Mex version of these eggs where, you know, you add some peppers and chilies. These eggs are pretty much done. Check them out.
Wow.
As green as green can be, as cheesy can be. Okay, so I'm just kind of getting them into a single layer. I'll turn off the heat. And now I'm gonna build the pockets. And I'm using store-bought puff pastry, which comes frozen. I thawed it overnight, and then I cut it into rectangles. And grab approximately 1/6 of the egg mixture. Ooh, gosh, and get it right in the middle of. Ideally, if you have time, you can let this mixture cool just a little bit, but we never have time for such things, do we?
No.
And just leave a little border around the edge. And then for the ham, I've got really small little pieces of deli ham, and I'm just folding them over twice and put them right there. So check that out, Alex.
Yum.
And then I'm gonna brush an egg wash, which is just egg beaten with a little water all around the edge. I may have filled this a little bit too full.
Maybe hard to close it.
I'm not gonna say I filled it too full. I'm gonna say I was very optimistic, which is a good place to be. I'm gonna take the second puff pastry rectangle and then just put it on top, let the edges meet up. Woo! Yes, eggs are coming out the side of that, but that's okay. And then I've got a fork and I'll crimp it shut, and that should take care of that little egg issue over on the side. Puff pastry, by definition, puffs quite a bit when it bakes. So if you don't put enough filling in it, you're gonna have a whole lot of bread, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm gonna put it on a sheet pan with parchment, and now I'm gonna build 5 more just like this. I got them all built. And before they go into the oven, I'm gonna brush the rest of the egg wash. This just helps the surface of the puff pastry look really pretty and keeps it from looking too dry. All right, so Alex, check it out real quick before we go to the oven. See?
Wow, they look awesome.
All right, let's go ahead and put them in. I forgot to sprinkle on everything bagel seasoning. You should do this after you brush on the egg wash. All right, those look good. So back into the 400-degree oven, and we'll see you back here when they're ready. All right, the pesto pastry puffs are ready. Check these out, Alex, before you go.
Wow, those look so good.
They smell amazing. They smell of pesto and pure bliss. I'm gonna get them right onto a platter. Perfect little pesto pastry puffs. They look so good. You know what? I think we need to eat one. There's no way we can't cut into one of these, so you can see what they're all about. All right? You wanna come in for the magic?
Wow.
I can't speak. They smell so good. The combination of the pesto and that bagel seasoning, oh my goodness. That is truly delicious. sweet and savory breakfast wraps. So I've been scrambling some eggs. First, I cooked some crumbled breakfast sausage, removed it to a plate, and I've been cooking the eggs in the same pan. I just seasoned them with salt and pepper, but they're getting all that flavor from the sausage. So these wraps are gonna be delicious. The eggs look amazing. They're fluffy and just about fully cooked. So just to add a little color, I'm gonna dump in a jar of drained pimentos. All right, the eggs are done. So now I've got all the elements ready and I'm going to assemble the wraps. I've got a flour tortilla and I'm gonna start by adding cheese. I've got American cheese here and I'm just gonna overlap 2 slices right in the center of the tortilla. And then I'll use a spoon to scoop on probably 1/3 a cup of the egg mixture. And then this crumbled sausage goes on. It's just getting pretty full. I am going to put a hash brown patty on top. These are frozen hash brown patties, and I just baked them in the oven until they were crisp. So one goes on. You guessed it, maple syrup. I'm gonna drizzle just a small amount over the hash brown patty. You know those breakfasts where you have like French toast or pancakes, scrambled eggs on the pan, and you get everything all mixed up? Well, that's basically what this wrap is all about. Don't knock it till you try it. This is incredible, just having that little hint of sweet. So to roll the wrap, I'm gonna tuck up the edges and then just tuck it all in while I roll. And it doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as you get everything safely tucked inside. This sweet and savory breakfast wrap is ready to go. So I'm gonna build 7 more just like this one, and then I'll fry them on both sides until they're crisp. So that's all 8 wraps made. And the next step is to cook them seal side down on a griddle in melted butter for about a minute. Then when they're golden, I'll flip them over, cook them for another minute on the other side, and when they're deliciously golden on that side too, I'll take them off onto a board. Look at these sweet and savory breakfast wraps. They're basically a glorified burrito. So all you have to do is let them cool, wrap them in parchment, put them in the freezer, and then whenever somebody needs one, you just pop it in the microwave inside the parchment, go 2 minutes, then turn it over, another 2 minutes, and it's ready to eat. Be careful because the insides are very, very hot. Lad and Bryce are out feeding cattle, so I'm gonna take a break in my make-ahead cooking and whip them up a portable drive-through breakfast. I'm gonna make them delicious breakfast sandwiches, biscuits, fried eggs, sausage, cheese. I'm starting on the biscuits right now. Now, the biscuits are actually cayenne cheddar and they're delicious. I've just been grating up some cheddar cheese and I think I've got just enough. So I'll scoot that over and I'll start putting together the biscuit dough. It starts with 3 cups of all-purpose flour, about 1/3 a cup of non-fat dry milk, a tablespoon of sugar, and then a heaping tablespoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of cream of tartar, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then a couple of teaspoons of salt. Now I'll just stir the dry ingredients together, add a stick of butter cut into pieces, and I also have 1/2 cup of shortening. Now I just want to work it together until the mixture looks like coarse crumbs. So this is a good time to add the cheddar. I've got a good cup's worth. I love cheesy biscuits. I'm just gonna stir it into the butter and flour mixture. So for the wet ingredients, it's nothing more than good old buttermilk. My favorite wet ingredient to add to any biscuit dough. I'll just stir it around and slowly work it in. Okay, I'll give it a good stir and see how that looks. I definitely want all the crumbs to be absorbed, but I don't want the mixture to be overly wet like a batter. It definitely needs to be a stiff dough. Okay, it's all come together and the dough looks great. So I'll get it all off the spoon and I'll grab a little flour and get it on the board. This is a pretty sticky, wet dough, so I'm gonna need all the help I can get. And it just goes right out. Now I'll grab a little extra flour and just sprinkle on top. Now, rather than use a rolling pin, I'm just gonna use my hands and just flatten them. I like the tops to be lumpy and textured. That looks great. I'll just cut them out. Just 2 more biscuits to go in the pan. I smeared a little butter on the surface. I'm gonna brush a little bit of butter right on top of each biscuit. Now I've got the oven preheated to 450 degrees. That's pretty hot, so they only need to bake for about 10 to 12 minutes, just until they're nice and golden. Now while they bake, I'm gonna move forward on the fillings for the biscuits, starting with big ol' sausage patties. And now I just need to cook these on both sides until they're totally done. They're all done, so I'll take those out. Now, breakfast biscuits have to have eggs, of course. I love fried eggs, but Lad and Bryce are crazy about them. It's definitely their preference when it comes to eggs. I'm cool with that. I'll eat anything. Now, I'll just sprinkle the eggs with a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, I'll let the eggs start to cook, and I'm gonna grab those biscuits. I know they're done because the kitchen pretty much smells like heaven right now. Oh, yes. They look amazing. Nice and brown. Ooh, delicious. Now I'll check on the eggs. I don't want them to get too cooked. I'll try to flip them without breaking the yolks. 1 down. Here goes 2. And the 3rd one. Victory is mine. Now I'll get the assembly line going for the biscuits. I'm wrapping them in just individual foil sheets, so I'll get them open. Now, these biscuits are gonna be nice and piping hot. Ooh, emphasis on hot. The second one. Now, I'll just use a serrated knife to cut right through. Ooh, those are hot. Let's see how tough a country woman I am right now. Now, I'll open them up and get them ready for all those luscious fillings. I'm using a slice of white cheddar on each one. Because the biscuits are so hot, it's gonna help the cheese soften and melt. Then I will do the sausage patties. How good does this look so far? You could stop right there, but when have I ever stopped right there? I've gotta grab the eggs. Perfect, right on top of the sausage. This definitely would not be considered one of my low-cal recipes, but those guys are working hard out there. Couple dashes of hot sauce on top of each egg, just to give them a little different flavor, a little bit of spice. Oh, these look so good. I'll get the lids on. That top biscuit is gonna absorb some of that hot sauce. I'm gonna get these wrapped up so they stay warm, and then I'll run them out to the guys. Cheesy ham and egg hand pies. So I've got some butter in a skillet, and I'm just adding scrambled eggs, whipped eggs, with some salt and pepper. And then I have a bunch of chopped chives, which is a very springy ingredient. I'm just gonna stir the eggs and cook them slowly over medium heat until they're scrambled. These look good. I was noticing when they were scrambling just how beautiful and fluffy they look. There's something about scrambled eggs with chives that, weakness of mine, I just love them. So I'm putting them into a bowl, and then I'm gonna add some ham. I didn't wanna add the ham to the skillet because I didn't wanna contribute to everything being hot, 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 and the ham is already cooked. So the ham's gonna kind of help cool things down so that I can add the cheese, because these are cheesy ham and egg hand pies. And then I'll just toss, and by now the eggs are kind of cool enough that it's not gonna turn the cheese into a melty, stringy mess.
I could just eat this.
Okay, so now I'm gonna make the pockets. So I'm using puff pastry, and I thawed out 2 sheets and then cut them into 12 squares of equal size. And I'm gonna get a spoon and get a big scoop of the egg mixture, pretty generous, because I mean, if you're gonna grab a cheesy ham and egg hand pie, you definitely want to have the cheese, ham, and eggs inside. You don't want to miss them. So then I have a little bit of an egg wash, just egg and water, and I'm going to brush the rim pretty generously because this acts as sort of a glue. Okay, then a second square, and when you put it on, you kind of want to stretch it just a little bit to make sure that it's gonna meet the edges. You wanna look at this up close, Alex? So you can meet the edges of the pastry and just meet them up. Press them together, kind of force out any air bubbles that are forming in the center. Take a fork, press all along the edge just to crimp everything together. Okay, so that is one cute little pocket or hand pie. I'm gonna put this on the tray and do 5 more just like it. All right, I got them all assembled. So I'm brushing the egg wash all over the surface, and that's gonna help them stay pretty when they bake. Okay, so then just to give them a little bit of decoration and crunch on top, I'm gonna sprinkle on some poppy seeds. Okay, let's go put these in the oven. 400 degrees, 20 minutes. Look at these, Alex.
Oh, wow.
So let's take a look. How do they look?
They look amazing. They're so
Oh,
fluffy.
wow, gorgeous.
Yum.
Oh, they look so perfect. Crispy morning wraps. So I've been cooking some sausage, just regular breakfast sausage. I kind of crumbled it into big chunks. So just eggs, salt, pepper, and milk. That's all this is. And I'll pour it into the same pan that I used to cook the sausage. Okay, now I'm just gonna scramble these eggs, straight up scrambled eggs, nothing fancy about it. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the eggs and just let them sit. So now I am going to build the crispy morning wrap, and it is so much fun. So you've gotta start with a big tortilla, flour please, and then I'll add some cheese, cheddar cheese, and Monterey Jack cheese. So the sausage that I made earlier, I'm gonna add as much as I can get on there. Yum, yum, yum. And now come the eggs, or eggs, however you like to say it. Boop. And then a little more. Boop. And then I'm gonna get some salsa. And then I've got some sliced avocado. Oh, and you know what? There's something in the oven that I forgot about. Just pop it right there. Oh, those are hot. Little hash brown coins, okay? This is, this is looking pretty hilarious. Oh, sour cream, that's right. And then it's just about folding in the sides, okay? So, and then fold up the other 2 sides. And then, look.
Wow.
And then it's kind of a neat little square. Look how cute that is. And then what you want to do is put it immediately, I should have just put it straight in there, into the skillet with the olive oil. Okay, now I'm going to cook it on the first side until it's golden. It's already time to flip. Boop. When you put the seam side down first, it kind of just seals it, so you can make sure it's going to stay closed.
The big reveal.
I mean, emphasis on big, my word. Oh, it's so crispy, listen.
It is.
Oh, look.
Yum.
Look at that.